Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is December 27th, a Tuesday, December 27th of the year 2022. My name is Sean Phillips. As always, I'm joined alongside my two co-hosts, Mr. Andrew Van Beber and Travis Kirkendall. We are the Voice of Reason podcast. And gentlemen, how are we doing on this lovely Tuesday evening? I'm sure for both of you, you guys are buried in a little bit of snow. It is actually freezing out here.
What's
It was
What's
65
freezing?
degrees when I went
How
outside
much?
earlier today. 65
Oh my
degrees.
God.
I almost had to put on a jacket. It was rough.
I
It was
hate you.
pretty bad.
It is currently 20. It is 23 degrees or 28 degrees right now.
I was
So
wrong. It's 65, but with the wind chill, it feels like it's 64. My bad. I apologize.
God, you suck so bad. You suck so bad.
Must be nice.
The wind chill. Oh my God! I didn't know that was a thing in Los Angeles.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. The Santa
Lord.
Anta winds is what they call them
The
out here.
Santa. That's correct. Santa Ana winds. Yeah.
So how do you guys stay warm when you have all those power outages out there? I mean, God.
Well, the good thing is we have enough homeless people shit in the streets. You just kind of scoop it up and you
You
can
just
burn
kind
it.
of,
So yeah,
okay.
you're able to burn all the
Oh
homeless
my
people
God.
shit that we have. Yeah, it's
1
actually,
minute into
and
the
it's
show.
nice too because you can ignite the shit from all the crime and the violence, all the guns that are shooting
Oh
off.
my
Yeah, of course.
God.
They'll spark the shit up,
Oh,
and it's nice. If you're lucky,
oh
I
my
mean, you could
God.
walk outside and grab a tent from any of the homeless people, the billions of homeless that are in Los
God.
Angeles right now. You
Oh my God.
cuddle up with any of them at any given time. It's
Let's take
nice. It's
20.
community.
Let's take 2022
That's
out
why
with a
they have, so
bang. Let's
that's,
go.
so not only we figured out why all the wildfires happen out there too now. They're
People are
Oh,
burning the
sparking
shit
up
to stay warm.
too much
because
shit.
oh,
Stay warm. Yeah, that
oh
is
man.
Los Angeles in a nutshell. Believe me, everything that they say on the news, everything that you see on TV, on whatever Tucker Carlson is saying about Los Angeles right now,
It's
it is
true.
true.
It's
It is
true.
100%
It's
real.
true.
That is
By God,
exactly
it's
how it
true.
is. You walk outside, someone slaps your ass, jerks you off, stabs you, and then just shits right in front of you. That is the law. That is a Los Angeles alarm, is what they call it.
Oh my
Los
God.
Angeles alarm.
Oh, how much of
Oh
that
my
chicken soup
goodness.
did you eat earlier? I mean, was it laced with anything, or I mean, a little methamphetamine? What was it laced with?
All of it, all of it.
Oh
It's
my
literally
gosh.
the all of the legal marijuana that we have here has
Oh.
been, um, just laced with fentanyl, thanks to the drug cartels that come over
Mm-hmm.
from Tijuana that are
Mm.
basically all your next door neighbors, and it's a shame. It's literally, you know, gay
How?
pride flags and homeless
What
shit,
are you
just
about?
24/7,
What are you about?
365.
3 hours from Tijuana, something like that.
Probably like three and a half, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And I was actually just talking to someone about Tijuana today. It's kind of funny because
Oh.
Tijuana is a pretty big destination spot for like a lot of people in Los Angeles and San Diego because like the second you cross the border, that's where you can like a lot of people go to get like plastic surgery done. Um, I was actually just talking to a wrestler buddy of mine who was in Mexico for a little bit and was telling me that you can get a week's worth of test for like $5 at like a gas station. So like if you're looking to put on size, you can get $5 worth of testosterone, and a couple vials will last a week. And so if you're trying to
Oh
get
my God.
yoked, spend some time in Mexico.
Tijuana.
To do it, just
Oh
go to
my
Tijuana. But that's where
God.
like a lot of the influencers around here will go to get like lip injections. Their Brazilian butt lifts. They'll
All
go
that stuff.
there and.
Jeez.
Oh, gross.
God.
Yeah, they just hit across
That
the border
is.
because it's relatively inexpensive. I know another big industry is like dentistry out there. I was talking to some people, and you can get like a crown done for like $100 there, and like cavities and stuff like that, or like $20 to get fixed up, and it's
Oh.
real cheap to
I
get it. Now,
don't.
mind you, they'll numb it with a swig of tequila and a slap to the cheek, and that's kind of what they do, and they'll
Oh
operate,
my
but
God.
it works.
There's no way. There's no way that a friend of mine, I think I've told you guys this story before. A friend of mine who is he came from the Amish. He's now converted over into regular life, but his brother is has cancer, and he goes to they fly now. This makes no sense, but they fly him to Mexico to get um, chemotherapy because the insurance that he has here won't pay for chemotherapy. I mean, he's got like the crappiest insurance, and so he flies to Mexico and he'll stay down there for a month. And his insurance will play. His insurance, whatever it is, apparently pays for chemotherapy in Mexico. Figure that one out. So
I know there's a lot of people out here that'll do stem cells out there too.
Yeah.
'Cause they're
Yep.
so inexpensive
I've heard
compared
that.
to getting them done here. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like something that would be like a $10,000 procedure here is like $1,000 there.
Is the medical community even that good? I mean, going to Mexico, to me, going to Mexico to see a doctor would be like going to a house of ill repute to find a wife. I mean, two things, just something I wouldn't do, you know. We apologize for that outage there. It's Louisiana internet at its finest. And, you know.
Your Charter Spectrum guy probably got held up at gunpoint.
Oh, hey, speaking of which,
They catch the Dairy Queen babies.
no, Louisiana last night they had a special session town council meeting last night, and they have sworn in an interim police chief interim, and 25-year vet of the Navy. He is a but he he left two police departments. One for his police chief was doing some bad stuff, but he got pardoned from all of that. And then I guess an officer related shooting while in the line of duty down in Cahokia, Illinois. So we'll see. He seems like the interview they did in the paper seemed like he was right guy at the wrong place or something like that, kind of thing.
Well, as long as he can just not do meth and bang a bunch of prostitutes, he'll be in a good position to lead Louisiana.
Yeah.
You're already winning.
Yeah,
You're
well, I
already
mean,
a
Just do
step ahead of
those
the
two
curve.
things.
he's got a heartbeat and he's winning. That would be one of our top 2022 stories locally. The town
For sure.
Well, made national news, boys. That made the National Wire and it was below what they call below the fold, in the news. If you looked at that's a term from the newspapers, before below the fold would be like that's minor league news, but it makes front page.
That's
But
big for Louisiana.
it's humongous. Hey, it put us on the map. Let me tell you.
So V, as you kind of mentioned, some of the big things about 2022, I'd love to hear it from you guys. What were some of the highs and what were some of the lows of the year for you guys that, of course, you're comfortable about sharing with our listeners and us? And then once kind of we all three do that, then we can kind of talk about what our plans for 2023 are, if there's anything particular. Any kind of New Year's resolutions that you guys have or goals or anything you have set in stone. So if either of you guys know, like if either of you guys want to start or I can start, it's totally up.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely say this year has been a bit of a roller coaster. 21 ended in kind of this weird space where I think I mentioned it on the show before. But originally in December of 21, so this almost like isn't quite 2022, but we had full intentions. Tony, Julian, and I had full intentions on buying a house in Jefferson City, Missouri. When I was doing recruiting, we had made an offer. The offer had been accepted. We fell in love with this house. It hit every single thing that we wanted. Big 2-car garage, fully finished basement, 3 bedrooms upstairs, brand new kitchen. I mean, it was awesome. Great neighborhood, great location for me for work, for Tony for work, for Julian for daycare. Like it was the tits. And then a couple days before we were supposed to close, our bank, we were going through US Bank, came back and said, hey, minor blip, we forgot to do the appraisal. So we need to go do that now. The original deal that we had, the house was listed for $210. We made a conditional deal. We made an offer with the sellers of the house that we would pay $218 if they covered all closing costs, so that we would literally have basically zero out of pocket for buying the house. because of the VA home loan that I'm blessed to have, I can do a zero down. And then so the big cost that we would have would be closing costs that would be covered by the seller. Anywho, the appraisal came back from US Bank and they appraised it for like $40,000 less than the original asking price. And so the bank was like, we're not giving you this loan up until unless you're going to pay this much. And we were not going to come up with, 40 grand to make up the difference. So we ended up not buying the house. And I know for us, it was kind of, shitty. We had made a bunch of offers on other places we liked. We had really fallen in love with this house. It was kind of the one that kind of set us off. And then it didn't happen. And that was kind of tough because we were really trying to find like our footing and what we were trying to do in our own lives. And it didn't happen. Well, then the end of the year, my new boss, David Marquez, had made a post on Facebook talking about how he was looking for someone to kind of take the reins on his company and kind of help him steer the ship in the direction in which it was going. I sent him my resume. It was zero production experience. And he told me to come visit in March. And I flew out in March. I flew out again in April. He made the offer. I talked to Tony and we agreed to move out here in July to Los Angeles. And since that time, I've gotten to work with a bunch of different, not just pro wrestlers on the pro wrestling aspect of it, but I've learned a ton about the production side of things. I've gotten to work on 2 different HBO television shows out at Warner Brothers. I've also gotten to do another like in-crowd audience thing with America's Got Talent. So those kind of experiences have been surreal because it was like this. It was overnight kind of how some of that stuff happened. And the move was hard, very hard. To leave, the structure and the foundation and my family, but to move out here, I couldn't have, done it. Most importantly, without Tony or Julian, it just wouldn't have happened. I think that I've learned so much, just about, it's really cool. And you guys have both experienced this, I'm sure, and everyone's situation is a little bit different, but, I'm blessed, extremely blessed in my life to have a partner who not only, trusts me and my daily activities and what I've got going on, but without skipping a beat, when we first met and started talking, I was like, this is my dream. These are my goals. And there's never been that's silly. It was always like, that's so cool. What can we do to make them happen? And, the idea of living in California was really cool. But, even when I talked like, here's the good, here's the bad, literally out of Tony's mouth, I remember, back when we first started talking about it earlier this year was like, if you don't do this, if you don't take the opportunity to take a risk like this, are you going to think about it? Are you going to dwell about it 10, 15, 20 years from now? And she was right. And so I think, I've always kind of wanted to make the leap out here because this is kind of what I wanted to do was out here. You build it here and then you can take it back with you. I felt like, to the Midwest or something like that. And, without skipping a beat, she was like, I'll start packing and you just tell me when. So, I'm extremely fortunate to have that kind of support. And then family support too, with my parents and even you guys and my friends back home. I feel like, again, I'm in a very fortunate situation where, my whole life growing up, I've always said like I wanted to do, acting, comedy, and then wrestling. And no one, not any of my friends, not any of the people that I consider close friends or people that are close to me have ever been like, that's stupid, or like, you probably shouldn't do that. You should probably do something else. And so that's made this a lot easier. And as scary as it is, I've talked to you guys about when I have my doubts. I've talked to my other friends about when I have my doubts, and it's always like, well, guess what, man, you're doing it.
You're doing it.
And so, yeah, that's been what's been cool about this year is I've learned a lot myself as a person, as a partner, especially as a dad, and I'm really looking forward to kind of uh, balancing a lot of those things better now that I feel like we're here and we're slowly but surely getting into that groove of figuring out how to navigate out here. Yeah, I think it'll be good. But it's definitely been an emotional ride, but a very good one. Like I wouldn't really say I've inherently had downs this year.
Well, that's what I was going to ask
That
you.
have
What's been your hardest? What's been the hardest adjustment? I know you kind of said a little bit earlier, but what's been your hardest adjustment since you've been in California?
I think the hardest adjustment, truthfully, was you know when I left when I was recruiting in Missouri. Like I said, we were pretty much at that point where with buying the house, because if we wouldn't have accepted this offer, we would have found another place. We would have bought another house. And we had structure. Like I knew in 2 weeks, boom, my check was being cut. That government money is always rolling in on time, and we had it kind of structured, and it was routine, and we kind of knew that. And Travis, I know you know how it feels when you leave that level of structure, when it's like I know every 2 weeks I'm supposed to expect this kind of paycheck. Where when I left, it was like, all right, now I don't have that. And in the entertainment business, there's a lot of you get paid later kind of stuff. So that was scary, especially as a dad and as a provider. Um, that was hard and left me, you know, when people talk about, like some of the big stressors that a lot of people face, that was like the scariest thing, like the thing that would kind of keep me up at night was quite literally like, you know, when am I going to get paid for school? And I got it because there was a lot of times where like, where I get paid for going to school, but a lot of times the VA will fuck things up and they won't fix them. And so it's like full blown panic mode when you're trying to make things scramble. But luckily we've found ourselves in a position now where it's more stable, and can get better. And that's the good thing too, is um, we kind of have that figured out and how we balance that and how to use the resources that we have to us. So that part's gotten a lot better and isn't as worrisome. But it's always nice to know that, because of the military, if anything was to happen where it just wasn't going to work out, like I could always just fall back on that. I was actually looking, because I saw Indeed advertisement. I got an email about it, how there's like a bunch of recruiting and retention NCO positions open in California statewide, which made me chuckle because I was like, not in a million fucking years would I recruit out of this state. There's no way in hell.
Yeah,
Yeah, forget that.
yeah. So that's, I guess I could say my this year has definitely been one for the books for me. I think that the biggest thing that I had was, of course, the prostate scare this year. When I went in for my so when you get a CDL in Missouri and you drive for whoever, Missouri requires you to get a yearly health exam. And so when I went in for my health exam in August, and they do your labs and all that good junk and everything, and you know cholesterol, I'm right there at that level of where, hey, fat boy, you need to work on it. Weight, all that stuff. But the number that concerned my doctor the most was, my numbers from my prostate, the PSA numbers, and the normal range is between 1 and 4, and mine was 7 point something. And so then, you and with the history of prostate cancer in my mind, I mean, all these things are just, you know, it's running through your head. All this stuff's going through. What the heck's going to happen to me? Where are things taking me? Am I going to have cancer? Is this something I'm going? Am I? And a million thoughts run through your mind, and you know, so going in for that exam, and what was bad was, so I had my, I had my, so I had my exam. Actually, I'll take that back. My numbers were taken, and we had my test was in March. And so he says, okay, we're gonna do the test, and the test was in August. That's the way. And then come back in October, where we'll check you again. And so he says you have enlarged prostate. When they do the exam, and all joking aside about, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. That exam is the most pervasive thing that I think a heterosexual man could have done to him. Okay, and just getting the whole the guy was great. The doctor was fantastic. He's like, look, and he's just the whole time he's like, look, you don't have. He was very good about what he did as far as talking you through it. Here's what we're going to be doing. This is how it's going to happen. And I wanted to go out. I mean, I was like, after my wife, she was in the waiting room, and I just drive the car. When I left, I was just drive the car, and I don't want to look at anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just felt like bawling, and it was so. And then the wait. So you get the wait. You have to wait a week to get these results. You get the results back. And the results come back and says, yeah, you have enlarged prostate, no signs of cancer. It's just, this is a common thing with some guys. It's, you have enlarged prostate. It's nothing, it's not cancer. So we'll come back in October. So I forget about it, until October. October comes around and go in for my checkup. And my numbers went from 7 back down to 2, and you're just like, what the hell just happened? What happened? And I think the whole time, my perspective of life really changed. I started looking at things. Is it holistically? You're looking at the big picture. You're looking at everything. And one of the things that I looked at was, of course, my walk with Christ. It really changed my perspective on a lot of things. And to me, that was the low part of my life, and it really caused my faith to come alive and say, look, you have the good times, you have the bad times. Are you just going to come to me in the good times or come to me in the bad times and say, screw it in the good times, or am I going to be the God of all times? And so that was something that I developed with, developing, just, I think, being a family of 4 during this recession, during this period of inflation, has been extremely hard on us financially. I spent so a month ago, I totally restructured my budget. I do every year, and I started in early, and that's another thing that I've really had to struggle with, is like, okay, financially, where am I at? And I'm not where, and again, that's something that I feel like I have to lean more upon in my faith. Am I going to count on me to do it all by myself, or am I just going to rely, and again, as a person of faith, it causes me to really practice what I preach to kids at youth group, and what I preach at school and everything else. And so it has been a real, it has been a little bit of a struggle this year for me. Bright side, I have 2 wonderful children and a wonderful wife who support me. Janine was just fantastic with the whole year, when I have, when they say that in sickness and in health and rich and poor, I mean, that's my wife. My wife is a fantastic, beautiful, brilliant, much smarter than me individual. And yeah, yeah, but and she is, I can't say enough. And, my children are, and I think I had that moment, and Sean, you'll get there, when Jam gets to, you look back and you see her at 13, you're like, dear God, where did it all go? I mean, you guys were still students when I brought Briley home, and now she, just turning 12, and I mean, her last year of being, before she's a teenager, but overall, I mean, I look back at 2022. I look back and I feel that I'm blessed. I feel like that God is good to me continually, and He's blessed me with friends like you guys. And I mean, you guys were Johnny on the spot there too. And I would, hey, let us know what your numbers are. Let us know what's going on. And I look back. One of my favorite things this year, though, boys, was when we all got together at McDinger's right before Sean moved out to, and I think you guys were there longer than I was, but I was there for good. I mean, just all the stories we told. That to me was one of the highlights of the year for me. Was just sitting, and I hope soon that we can all find, whether, it's coming out to California or doing something, but I wait for the time where we can all be back together again soon. So, but that's where I was at.
Yeah, that would be a good time. And that was a lot of fun. That was a really good time.
All right, Travis, your turn. Oh, you got to unmute though, Travis. You got to unmute, buddy. There you go.
Sorry, I got barking dogs. I got vacuums running. You know how it goes. I would actually like to skip me, and I'd like to talk specifically on the podcast and how it went this year, and kind of some of my ideas moving forward, and kind of see what you guys think about it.
Sure.
First off, the podcast, I think it went really well this year, in that we had some really interesting conversations. And what I want to highlight on, or move forward with more, is try to target more guests. And I don't think our listeners understand that. Like, we have a hard time finding guests.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can get the same people on, but having like people who are willing to talk about the really like controversial things, I guess, or like the bigger issues, who have like opposing views, is really hard for us. So again, I always say it, but if you're someone who has an opposing view, please come on the show. And I think that's
always have.
I think
mic.
that's yeah, exactly. And I think we really got on that theme this year, and that was something I was really proud of us that we hit on. But I definitely want to double down on it more and have the harder conversations. Like, my favorite episode we ever did to this day was I forget his name, the Air Force member. That was this year, correct?
Yes, that was this year.
Yeah, that was by far one of my favorite episodes we did.
Holy cow! I feel like a terrible person. I can't remember his name. But yeah, he's in Samoa, not Samoa, Guam.
One of the islands out there. Guam. There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So it was stuff like that is what I would really love to just have on those people. Give them a voice, and also talk about the issues with them, and have open conversation about it. Not just try to be an example for others of how to tackle these issues.
And I forgot about that, Travis. That we had those two issues. We talked about both sides of abortion, and we talked about both sides of transgender. I remember when we looked at we had my friend Stephanie on, who went through a lot of.
I remember that.
We had that interview. I think that was right after. I'm trying to think when Sean. When did you move out there, Sean? When was that? Was that
beginning of July?
Yeah. So we had
we did 3 episodes in a row on that, right? So we had Lauren on.
Yes.
And then we had Air Force member, and then we had your friend.
Yep. And we did, and then
that was awesome.
And we also had Martin Hanley on. We talked about
we had that on too. I forgot.
Yeah. So we had a great. I mean, we've had. This is episode 40 of season 2. You know, that's the thing that blows my mind is that we have had 92. This will make 92 episodes that we have had of the voice. This has went farther than anything that I could have ever imagined. But you know, every week that we do this, I mean, this is we've all said this is a this is the high, when we get together and it's like we cleanse the room before we go out into our week, and it's like, okay, let's see, and I can say that it causes me to be, I don't know if I want to say hyper vigilant, but it causes me to be more vigilant of what is going on around me with when we do this show, because and with that, and I think people, we mention this a lot on our show too, is that we have a group chat that is I mean, we share
Oh, we're sharing links all day, every
all
day.
day,
Just,
at least
you guys
one or
seen
two
this?
at
You guys
least one or
seen
two a
that?
day,
Yeah,
that
for sure.
we're sharing, and oh my god, did you see this, and did we see that, and and I didn't even know, like, we were the revolution or the attempted coup in Peru and stuff. I was like, I wouldn't have known about. He's like, did you see this going? I didn't know about that. Did you see this? And then, and then I think I learned a lot this year too from you guys. I mean, just the show that we did on crypto was enlightening to me.
Yeah,
That was just
I'm.
like, I was like, wow. I didn't know all this
Yeah,
stuff
and
existed about.
Sean and I are by no means experts on it either. We're just two young dudes that try to throw a little bit of money in it. But it's still like it's just cool to talk about that kind of stuff. And I think that's my biggest goal for the podcast next year is, like I said, have the difficult conversations and like address both sides or multiple sides, however many sides there are to
Hmm.
that issue. I have a
Hmm.
different guest on. And I guess also too, and maybe we can talk about this now over live, like as far as our goal for the podcast next year, like actually sitting down and saying like, okay, what are we hoping to actually accomplish with this season? Like, are we just going to keep talking about, are we talking about certain issues? Or are we talking about a variety of issues? Like, what are we hoping to convey to the audience? Are we, you know what I mean? Like, what are
Hmm.
we kind of, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like it needs more action,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
and we
If,
def and we like this is kind of how.
and maybe
And
that's the guest thing I'm
yeah, and
talking
I
for.
and
Maybe that's what that
I would
is.
love to see, more people come on too. We've had a strong audience. We've had many. I'm thinking back over the span of the show, just the amount of guests that we have had. We've had different people on. We had people from my childhood. We had, I was going to say, we had Hank on. We've had Casey Davis on this year. We had our friend from Guam. We've had, but we want to, when we looked at that issue, it scares a lot of people. I don't know if how much you guys talk about, but when I tell people I have a podcast, they're all like, "Oh yeah, so does 100,000." I said, "Oh, I know. We're one of millions of people who do a podcast. We have our faithful. I call them our faithful 50 to 60. I mean, we usually have, There's some weeks where we'll have 100 and some odd downloads, and there's weeks that we'll have 10 downloads, and then we have, we average in 40s and 50s. And to you folks, we thank you, and we want to grow that audience more. And I think part of that, like you said, Travis, is to address these issues. And we communicate a lot with our listeners when we have stuff on our page, through our certain. Again, thank you to everybody who takes part in our polls every week. We almost have we're that's something else. Here's a short term goal. We are 90, so we have 93 members on our group page for the poll. I would love to see us get the magic 100 for our group page
Oh, we
for.
will easy.
And I mean, 7 more people. We have a lot of you who listen through Spotify. We have a couple who are watching on Twitch right now. I see we have those who are watching on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Head over to our page. This is something that we do. We every week. That we put a poll question up, and I guess we can use this as our transition into what we were looking for this next year. So our question this week was, and I'll bring it up here on the screen. It says, "What resolution are you going to try and do this year?" 42% said be healthier,
There we
1%,
go. Hell
yeah,
yeah.
1% said 1% said lose weight. 21% said read more. That was kind of interesting. 14% said have a more positive outlook. 8% said attend more religious services, adopt a more religious outlook. 7% said do more with the family, and 7% said travel more. So, and
All great things.
the last two were added on, and again we thank our listeners for doing that and for taking part in that. What are you wanting? What are you guys wanting to see? Sean, we'll start with you. What are you wanting to see for this next year? What are you wanting to accomplish in this next year?
Yeah, I have a couple of uh, pretty scalable goals that I know
You gonna try to win the
this
Escalade?
year. We'll see. We'll see about that. I'm trying to decide. Trying to decide. No, I have a couple of ones that I really am kind of structure. First and foremost, continue to be a good partner, be a good dad, try to be a better dad, try to be a better partner every single day. Um, as far as some of the other things, this next year, I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes research and learning about business expansion. And so I have a lot of goals for moving, the podcast forward, for moving Travis and Mine's coffee business forward. I've actually been working on a lot of stuff with that recently, and then in March have a pretty big opportunity for our coffee business to earn. I long story short, submitted a pitch into a business grant competition through my university and made it into the top 10. So they'll be flying me out to Columbia to present that pitch to investors and to the university itself in order to land a business grant, which I think will help out our business a lot. And so, but also like I have a couple of different professional and goals as far as like wrestling. I plan on getting back into ring competition on the show here in Hollywood eventually, and then the new show in Louisville. I'm at the beginning of the year. I jump right into classes, but then I'm also doing a project management certification course and my personal trainer certification course. So a lot of jumbling around with things like that. And then again, trying to decide if Travis and I are going to tackle the I Want Abs Fitness Challenge from Corgi. The winning the big winner gets an Escalade this year is the big ticket
Nice.
item.
It's like a $150,000 Escalade. It's like fully loaded.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Well, I mean, you could be like the guy there on Snapchat that eats all the raw meat and everything, and be that
yeah,
guy.
I'm not gonna Liver King my way there, because
Liver.
I'm not gonna
That's right.
spend
I couldn't think of his name. Liver
50
King.
grand over the course of 5 months on steroids to get there. Uh, so no, I definitely, the big thing that I just need to, I mean, you guys have known me for a long time, and even, Tony knows, my biggest flaw is my, um, ability to kind of have things structured. And so I've been working on that and plan on that's like my big 2023 goal is to really lay out, if you have 24 hours, how to make the most of those 24 hours. And I have other like goals too. Like a big one is, even if it's one, but two is really what I'm going for, is to land a speaking role on a network television show or a feature film. That's a big, I feel like pretty achievable goal. Even if it's like generic, guy coming out of a porta potty #1 on a episode of, CSI. They're like, don't go in there, it stinks. That's kind of the,
Good.
I'd like to see something like that
Yeah.
happen. And I'm surrounded by a lot of, good people, not only here but back home. in Missouri, that I feel like can help with that. And those are, right under being the best dad that I can be are probably the big ones. Yeah, and then same thing, being healthy and doing all that stuff. I'm pretty good about that stuff in general anyway. I know the holiday season, I was talking to Travis about this. The holiday season is kind of where things, get fluctuaty and tough because my fucking green bean casserole is good. And that's just how it
Yeah, it
goes. So
is. Come on,
um
come on.
just balancing all that and learn how to live and continue to enjoy life as much as I do now. So how about you guys?
I say it every year. I don't know how I need to change. I got on a good uh, I got on a good run this year with doing swimming, and then when basketball came, I used basketball as my excuse because going and watching my kid every day and school and everything else, and swimming was the best thing for me. I felt great, and getting into some kind of shape. My weight has always been my struggle. I'm a big guy. I've always been a big guy. When I got down to 285 by running and doing all that stuff, and then I mean I have 1,000 excuses for everything. When I did the partial tear of my quad, and that pretty much ended running for me, and I got back up to where I am now. My health has always been a prime concern of mine. I've always said that I want to walk my daughter down the aisle when she gets to that age. I want to be a granddad someday. I want to look to these things, and part of it is it starts with my health, and that's the thing that I struggle with because I have a massive sweet tooth. I have a massive sweet tooth. If somebody says, "Hey, I'm going to take away your sugar, your salt," be my guest. You know, I can eat the blandest crap in the world, but I've got. If you say, "Hey, we're going to take away your candy bar, we're going to take away your diet soda, we're going to take away your whatever," I'm going to be like, "No," And so, I think with me, just trying to adopt that healthy lifestyle. That's always the goal for me. But I was proud for the one thing that I did do. I said I was going to read more this year. I did get through a couple of great books this year, um, and recommendations from friends. Um, so I definitely want to do that again this next year. Broaden my horizons by reading more, studying more about just becoming familiar with other cultures, and doing more to broaden my horizons on that, and continue to love people the way that God loves me, accepting people for their faults and loving them regardless of what it is, and being the best Christ follower that I can be, continue to do that. So I think that's what I would really look at.
Right on. I would say, yeah, moving forward this year, obviously, health. It's always not, that's always top of my list. I got some specific things I'd like to get better at. Specifically, I got like I'm trying to work a lot on like Olympic lifting. So I got like some numbers in my head that I'm hoping next year I can hit as far as that goes. Um, get the house finished. I mean, we bought this house, condo, earlier this year.
I was gonna say
We haven't
this
been
year.
able to change
Yeah.
a lot of it. So goal is to really, get finances in check and then really start going down the list. Fix this, fix this, fix this, and then hopefully when that's done, we can rent the place out or flip it and sell it. I don't know yet, but the goal is to get the home finished. Hopefully next year. We'll see. And then like Sean, you made a good point too, like talking about time management. That is
Yeah.
something I really struggle with. I'm terrible about it. I've been a procrastinator since as long as I can remember. Plagues me. So that's something I'm really trying to double down on this year is like you said, 24 hours in a day. How can I make the most of the 24 hours? And hopefully next year's better about that for sure. Um, What was the other part of this question? Is it the
You're nailing it. I mean, I what
a
did you?
lot to be thankful for. I mean, like I said, we got the home. I got a dog, Lupo. He's a Chesapeake Bay Retriever, and I've wanted my own Chesapeake Bay for since I was a kid. I grew up with one. My dad got a second one. I fell in love with him, and I always said when I got out of the army, I'm gonna get a Chesapeake. And luckily, my wife, she fell in love with my dad's dog, and she's like, "Yeah, let's get a Chesapeake." So we got him. He's been the biggest blessing ever. So that's been awesome. So I want to get him outdoors more next year. We got a lot of traveling planned, and take my dog everywhere. He's part of the family.
Yeah, I
That's
think
awesome.
that's yeah. When you that's the first step, Travis. Is before you get the kid, that's the first step right there. Is get over the dog thing. So I mean,
We're working on that.
yeah, you are. There's what I wanted to hear. That's what
Hey,
I
that's
That
wanted.
the that's
There
that's
it
the
is. I mean,
that
making the
is,
kids the
but
funnest part of it.
heck,
hey, potentially. I mean, next year. I mean, God willing,
yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
But
I tell you what, that's been that's been the big thing. One of the greatest rewards you can ever have is being a parent. That's been one of watching my children grow up this year. I mean, Briley really, wow. I mean, watching her grow in basketball has been, my love for sports. You guys know this. I mean, I've been doing enough when you guys. I still remember the days when Travis played basketball. I can still remember those days. But that's been Travis. No,
terrible.
nope, nope. But I'm really looking forward to watching her grow in that sport, and my son is just becoming a awesome young man, and all the stuff that we do together as far as gaming and that's something else I want to try to do is get our we haven't done our we kind of went lax on our Dad versus Bryson series, but
Yeah, you gotta get back into that.
yeah, we still have I still get notices from Facebook that we get new views every. I'm like, we haven't done a show I think since September, and we still get new views. It's like, you had 2 new views this week. I'm like, who's going back and looking at this stuff? So,
Yeah, you
but
need to get on it because I enjoyed watching Bryson kick your ass and pretty much everything. So
yeah, I just got tired of getting beaten, getting water dumped on my head all the time, and I mean, it does substitute for a shower once a week and everything, but no, and I enjoy talking about this and what we're looking to do in the next year. Uh, and this is something we actually usually we haven't done it yet. I'll admit to you guys, we usually Travis and Sean and I will have, and we need to do it again. Is we usually this time last year we had our yearly planning meeting, and we accomplished some of those goals. We didn't get accomplished everything, but we accomplished a lot. We will be getting our merch line back up once I figure out a. And by the way, if anybody knows how to do better merchandising as far as getting it out there and advertising it, please let me know, because that's something that I'm struggling with right now, is trying to find a better way to merchandise or to showcase our merchandise so you guys can have it better and everything. So if you have any ideas, or please reach out to us on the page. But that's one thing that I am destined. That's one of my goals for this year, is to improve with our side of things. Is so. But anyway, so anything else we need to cover tonight? Have we covered all
no,
this?
I think
Have we
we
solved all
hit
the
the nail
problems
on
of
the
the world?
head, and well, most of them, not all of them, but most of them.
I vote we should do one episode like the Rogan Protect Our Parks,
Okay, I'm
where we
not.
just get like, you're not familiar with it?
No, you have to tell me that one.
Oh, so he does like this. I guess it's like a segment. I think they've had five of them now. Sean, you're familiar with it, right?
Hmm.
It's amazing. So he'll bring on like four other comedians or like three other comedians, and they all just like get fucked up. They get like they start drinking. The last one they were doing a bunch of shrooms and stuff. It was hilarious. It's like a 4.5 hour episode of all these comedians just high as hell off shrooms. It was amazing.
Oh, one other thing I want to do before we get out this year, the music that we have, our bumper music, much thanks to our friend Charlie Tadlock with Calamity's Reign. He has been our bumper music for this year. We'll probably look for some new stuff for the next year, but I always want to give a shout out to our local artist and everything, and he has graciously let us use his music royalty free. So thank you to him for that for this year. But yeah, we definitely. I would love to. I don't know about saving our parks. I don't. You guys know that I have never partaken. I can sit back and be the designated
It
podcast
was a
host.
joke. It was a total joke. Don't worry.
I will say though, when we got together at McDinger's this year, I was just sitting around and Sean and Travis and I know Travis had a couple
That's
drinks
probably
and
the closest we'd ever get to it, right there.
I know, but you guys were still like some of our other friends were at the table who were just totally, I think, way off the edge. I'm not going to mention any names, but and I was having so much fun. People don't understand. Well, you're a Christian, aren't you uncomfortable around people who drink? I said, no, that's when I have. That's why I love driving Uber and Lyft because it's so much entertainment for me because it is so much fun watching and messing with drunk people. Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, again, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, and we can actually ask. We could put a poll up after this episode, and ask: if you guys, I don't know if either of you two would be interested, or if any of our listeners would be interested in potentially a voice of reason accountability group for the year of 2023 for some of these fitness goals and things like that. Again, I know for some people they work really well. Some people aren't too interested in them or in doing them, but if any of our listeners feel like they would benefit from that, then if we get enough response of hey, yeah, we'd actually actively be involved in it and not so much just, yeah, I'd be interested, but not actually do it. But if you'd be interested and would actually participate, please let us know. That's something that we can think of. So if you're looking for new health goals for 2023, we can kind of whoop your butt and hold you accountable, at least, in one way, shape, or form. But otherwise, gents, I'm super proud of the work that we did in 2022. Again, for our listeners, we will connect soon on kind of some of the plans and kind of put them on a red carpet and roll them out for you guys for 2023. As we expand, as we crawl up to episode 100, we're going to plan something, hopefully have a couple of our more some of our guests that we've had on in the past return, have a good blow off episode 100 as we roll into 101. Because one of the fun things about these kind of podcasts that I've other podcasts that I've listened to, even some of the bigger ones, is it's that as they kind of cross that 100 episode threshold, a lot of the ones that I've listened to, once they cross that 100 episode threshold, is where they really kind of start to find their stride. And so I'm excited in that for us, as I feel like, we've done this podcast almost over 2 years now. And once we get to that mark, that's where we can really kind of find our what makes us unique and what proves our longevity. There's so many, even though we had mentioned, people talk about there's millions of podcasts out there. They don't have the longevity that we have, and that's something that I know that I take a lot of pride in. I know you guys take a lot of pride in. Our listeners, our loyal listeners, I've taken a lot of pride in, and I'm excited for once some really good things start happening for us and those numbers go up. That you guys were like, I've been listening to these assholes since they were on episode 3, which was the worst fucking thing I've ever listened to.
Oh my God.
Life, so,
go back to episode 1 and listen to that. Yeah.
It'll be a good time. But gentlemen, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you both. I hope you guys enjoy your new year. I'm sure we'll talk more about our resolutions and everything that we have coming up. But again, from the bottom of my heart, to our listeners, be a friend, tell a friend. Maybe your New Year's resolution for 2023 can be to tell more people about the Voice of Reason podcast, and find someone whose New Year's resolution is to find a good podcast to listen to. So again, from me, from the guys, thank you all so much, and I can't wait to talk to you all next week.